See.
Good morning, everybody. How are you? All right. Hey, I'm really excited. We have some pretty cool news today. Is that Mark has finished his graduate degree, which means he's a master now. And so he graduated yesterday. Will you guys give it up for Mark?
Thanks, guys.
So Mark finished his master's degree, which means you can feel free to call him Master now. Is that right?
Matt, I have to keep telling you this. No, please don't call me
Okay,
Master.
all right. Maybe you
Matt doesn't always have great ideas.
You can call me Master if you want. Okay. I'm just kidding. Don't call either one of us Master. But he does have a master's degree, which is really, really awesome. That's the really good news. The sad news is, because he's graduated, he is now going to be transitioning away from MidPoint. So Mark is no longer going to be at MidPoint. Hey, what's up, dude? That's all right. See you guys. So next week is actually going to be Mark's last week here at MidPoint. Yeah, I know. That's okay, because we have a really great treat, because Mark is going to speak to us today. He's got an awesome message. So will you guys stand up and give it up for Mark Fila?
Thanks, guys. Thank you, guys. Well, I know it's not like an easy time for you all, but it's not at all for me either. It's definitely super sad. I mean, that's the biggest emotion that I'm feeling. It's just sadness with possibly not being with you guys. Love you guys. Have loved the years being with you guys. It's just the best. You guys are the best. Hey, how many of you guys know what I'm talking about when I talk about a high-risk, high-reward type situation? Like, it's going to take some guts to go for it, but you know that if you have the guts to go for it, it's going to be awesome, right? But there's also the potential of, if you chicken out, like, it's either going to be super lame or nothing's going to happen, right? So I was thinking about this, and I think about snowboarding. Whenever I think about, like, high risk, high reward, it's snowboarding. How many snowboarders in the room? Like 10? Come on. How many skiers? Come on. Come on. Okay, well, at least you skiers, you guys will know I'm talking about. Snowboarders, you will too. But, you know, you're lining up. You want to go off this big jump. So you see the jump down there. You sit down at the top. You're kind of strapping in. You're trying to psych yourself out a little bit. You know, you're like, oh, whew, this is going to be epic. Like, this has potential to be so awesome. And, like, I totally want to get this, and I want to get up in the air and I just want to feel that, you know? And then you're like, oh, but it's going to be scary, but, oh, man, it's so worth it. And, you know, you're sitting there, and you're just, like, trying to pump yourself up. Like, I got this. And you guys know what I'm talking about? Yeah. Okay, so you're trying to pump yourself up, and then, like, 5 minutes later, you're still sitting there pumping yourself up, and your buddies are down there, you know, with their iPhone, their camera, trying to get a picture of you, and they're like, oh my gosh, like, go. And you're like, I am going. And then you're like, wait, I'm confused. Why did I just yell that I'm going? Because I'm still sitting here on my butt, right? And so finally, you know, you work up that courage, you get up, you know, and you're like, okay, I'm gonna get this, gonna go for it. And then so you're up at the top, and you can look down, you can see the landing of the jump. So it doesn't look too bad. It looks kind of safe. You know, you've sat there, you've watched a few people go off it, so you know it's a safe jump. And you start going. You've got a few options. You start going, and you start thinking, you know, you're like, okay, I got this. Stay pumped up. Go for it. Don't chicken out. And then you get down to where you now can only see the launch, and you can't see the landing anymore. And then a bunch of things go through your head. You got a couple options, 3 options. One, you just totally go for it. You launch off it. You go in the air. Either you roll down the windows, or, you know, you get the nice grab in there. Or, and I've coined this, so guys, once this phrase gets famous, you can remember you were the first to hear it. or you can chicken whip, okay? So snowboarders, you're gonna know what I'm talking about with the chicken whip. You're going, and you kind of do this little like whoosh, to slow down just enough, because you're like, I think I was going a little too fast. You go whoosh. So now you're going a little slower, and you feel a little safer. But the problem is, a lot of times when you chicken whip, you land on the top of the landing, and then you like totally wipe out because you didn't land on the actual landing. You went too slow. Or your third option is you go down, and then all these thoughts come in, all these what ifs. What if I fall? What if I break my wrist? What if like I get up there and I get lost while I'm in the air? What if I break my butt? What if the worst one is, what if this is the last thing I remember? You know, all these things go through. And sometimes those thoughts get the best of you, so you just go off the side of the jump and you're like, whoop. You know, like you don't actually go, you just go off to the side. I mean, come on, I'm not the only person who's ever just whoop. You know what I mean? Because you can see the landing and it's safer. So you got those options. So, you know, guys, I used to do these huge jumps, you know, like 50-foot gap things and just launch off. It took me a while to get up there, but I wouldn't do anything crazy. I'd just go whee and be in the air forever, and it was so fun. But I hadn't done any jumps in a few years, so this year I wanted to kind of like rekindle that fire a little bit, and I figured I'd go for it. So I got a video to show you guys of me going for a jump this year. Only jump I tried this year. Here we go. You see me kind of coming down? There we go. Watch right there. Oh! Okay, we got to watch this again because you see the chicken right there. You see it? Whoop! Right there. I've got no shot. I slowed down way too much, and then it keeps going, and boom! It's over. It's over because I chicken whipped, you know? And a lot of times, guys, I think we chicken whip in our lives. You know, you have these situations where, like, maybe God's kind of pulling your heart to do something, or you just feel like maybe you're supposed to take a risk to do something, and you start to maybe think about going for it, and then you like, whoop, you know, you kind of hit the brake. Something kind of comes up inside of you. You don't really know where it came from, but it was enough to make you stop. You know, you have these thoughts of like, you know, I was going to go up and talk to that person. They looked lonely. But I might look like a loser. I might get rejected. I don't really know. And then you have this thought of like, you know, it's actually going to be better off for everybody if I just pretend that thought never came into my head. So you just kind of try to forget about it and you move on. You guys know what I'm talking about. I mean, it's like, and then later you look back and you're so frustrated that you let those like negative thoughts get the best of you. So it's these things, they come in and they kind of just like, they steal your faith. And, you know, a couple things I really want to talk to you guys about today is answering a few of those questions. One, we have to know what are those things that come in and they steal our faith. They sidetrack us from what we're supposed to do. So we have to identify the obstacles. So that's the first question. What are the obstacles in our faith lives? The second question is how can we overcome these obstacles? Okay, so hang with me. We are going to be answering those questions today. And the coolest thing, guys, I think about our Bible and the God that we serve is he oftentimes gives us a lot of answers. So I've got a lot of answers for you guys today. I want you guys to open up now. It's going to take you a little bit of time, but you're going to open up your Bibles to Hebrews chapter 11. Okay, Hebrews chapter 11. We're going to be in that all day. So definitely open up to that. Who of you guys know who Moses is? Moses. You've probably heard Moses before. If you haven't heard of Moses or don't really know what he did, think like Prince of Egypt. Think, you know, like all the plagues, going to Egypt, lead the Israelites out, all this crazy stuff, right? A long, long, long time ago. So the New Testament in Hebrews actually talks about Moses too. He's also in the New Testament. And that's in Hebrews chapter 11. Hebrews chapter 11 is called, I like to call it the Hall of Faith. So it's kind of like the Hall of Fame for people that had big faith. So the Hall of Faith. So if you guys ever need some faith, you turn to Hebrews 11 and you let it pull you through. So while we're thinking of Moses, I mean, think about the faith things that happened to him in his life. Okay, so he's like exiled out of Egypt, no longer a prince of Egypt, those kind of things. He's just shepherding his flock, his herd. He's an old man now, and he's just kind of walking along. And all of a sudden, off to his right, there's a bush that's just like on fire. Oh, hey, what's up, bush? Okay. Okay, it's not only is the bush on fire, the bush isn't even burning. So that's weird. Bush, like, what? Should I go get some water? Nah, I'll just leave you. But then God talks from the bush. It's like, Moses, from this burning bush. Can you guys imagine that? Like if you're just on a hike and there's a bush on fire and you're like, whoa, that's weird. And then it like starts talking to you. What do you do with that, right? So it's like he had to like kind of step in that as God called him to go rescue the Israelites from Egypt and their slavery there. Okay, so Moses goes, kind of long story short, he gets them out. He gets them out. They're following him, all the Israelites behind him. They've got nothing. They're going on a hike into the desert with nothing, just following him, trusting God. Well, lo and behold, the Egyptians are following behind them, coming back to steal them back. They got horses, chariots, swords, bow and arrows, fire, everything, right? Crazy stuff. They're coming. Well, the Israelites, they come up to basically an ocean, the Red Sea. Well, what do you do now? You're stuck, people coming, you can't swim for miles. So God tells Moses to stick his rod in the water. Okay, I'm just gonna put my stick in the water, see what happens. Okay, put the stick in the water, two big walls of water, they can walk right through the ocean. Are you serious? That's insane. So then they go through, they're safe, the Egyptians die, they get on the other side, they start disobeying God, so they're in 40 years of exile in the desert. And every single day, all these people had to live on was manna. That was their food. Manna. They couldn't hoard it, collect a lot of it, because it would rot for the next day. So every day they had to wake up saying, God, will you feed us today? Am I going to starve today? And then God rains down manna from heaven. Can you guys imagine living that kind of faith? That every day you're going to die if God doesn't just give you food that rains down from the sky. Like these are the kind of things that get you into the hall of faith. Okay, so that's why we're talking about Moses. So we're going to come back to him in just a second. But while we're in Hebrews 11, I think we first need to know what faith is. What's the definition? So turn to verse 1. Hebrews 11:1 says this. Now faith is being sure of what we hope for and certain of what we do not see. And what I see in this, guys, is the things that we hope for and the things that we don't see, we don't actually know. We don't know what those things are. So you can't actually know what is going to happen if you're going to have faith. They don't really go together. So that leads us to our obstacle number 1 of living a life of faith, and that is guarantees. Obstacle number 1 is guarantees. If you have a guarantee, you do not have faith. If you know what's going to happen, if you know the outcome, you can't have faith. It's impossible. There's nothing to even have faith in because you know what is going to happen. I don't know if any of you guys are like me. I think this might be a little old school. I don't really know. I'm old, whatever. But in middle school, so this might pertain more to you 7th, 8th graders, but you know, you got to dance. You got a dance coming up. And you kind of want to ask a girl. Girls, maybe you kind of think, you wonder if a guy thinks you're cute, something like that. So you're not just going to go up to her locker and be like, hey, want to go dance with me? Like you're not going to cold turkey out of the blue do that. And why? Because you don't know what she's going to say. You don't know. You got to know first. You got to know what she's going to say. So you do the little roundabout way. You jot down on a note, hey, if I were to ask you to the dance, what would you say? Checkbox, yes. Checkbox, no. And then you fold it up, you give it to your best friend, and then they give it to her. You go around it. And then they, check yes, no, whatever, pass it back to your friend who gives it back to you. You hope for that yes so that you know. So if I've got that yes in my hand that came back from somebody else, went through, comes back to me, now I feel a lot more confident going up to the girl's locker and saying, hey, will you go to the dance with me? Because I already know she's going to say yes. That doesn't take any faith. You guys see what I'm saying? If you have a guarantee, you don't have faith. Let's go to our obstacle number 2. You guys have already saw a little bit of this when I was doing my snowboard jump, but it's the what ifs. We what if ourselves all the time. We just chicken whip all over the place. You know what I mean? And it's just like, you have this thing and you're like, I think I should invite this person to MidPoint, or I think I should talk to that person, or I think I should, pray to God for something big, or for someone to get healed from cancer. And then they come in, these thoughts. What if they don't get healed from cancer? What if that person says no? What if that person tells me to get away from them? What if I look like a loser? What if what I said I believed in didn't end up happening? What if I shared my faith and then all my friends rejected me? Do you guys hear all those what ifs? These are the fear-based what ifs that I think ruin lots of our faith journeys. So a challenge I have for you guys today is whenever you feel those fear-based what ifs, can we possibly subtly shift them into hope-based what ifs? What if God did something amazing? What if when I prayed for someone to be healed from cancer, what if God did that? He can. What if I prayed for a friend to accept Christ? And what if God made them touch their lives and they did? You see what I'm saying? There's two different kinds of what ifs. So let's switch those what ifs. So there's our two obstacles, guarantees and what ifs. So how do we overcome our lack of faith at times? Overcoming step number 1. Hope you guys are tracking with me. We're going to read this in Hebrews 11:27. Okay? Next verse. Back to Moses. By faith, he left Egypt, not fearing the king's anger. He persevered because he saw him who was invisible. Guys, Moses could only move on because he saw him who was invisible. So that's overcoming step number 1, is seeing the invisible one, who is God. And guys, a lot of you guys kind of heard from Matt. It's a crazy season for me. I don't know what's going on. I don't know totally what I'm going to be doing. I don't know. I know I'm sad. I know I'm sad that I'm not going to be with you guys much longer. I don't know. Guys, my life feels crazy and kind of out of control. And I'm just like, God, whatever it is, I need to see you, because the only thing that kept Moses going and parting the sea and leaning on manna was because he saw you. So that's what I'm kind of praying for right now in my life, guys. And God reminded me just this January, a few short 5 months ago, I was in a prayer time, and I had this vision, this image from God. I was kind of like on my knees and my eyes were closed, and I was praying like, God, I don't know what's coming. Like, help me understand. Help me know what I'm supposed to do, because I'm so lost right now. And so I actually drew that picture, and I wanted to share that with you guys today. So you can look up here, and I'll kind of walk you through. But in this vision, I was in a truck. Okay, I'm on this back dirt road way up in the mountains, and we're kind of flying through, and I realized pretty soon in this vision that I'm not in control of this truck. So I kind of get a little scared. I'm in this truck kind of flying on these roads in the mountains. There's trees whipping by me on the side. And then I look forward, and all I see is white. I just see white in the horizon, and I'm like, that's kind of strange. White's more inviting than dark or black. I'm kind of riding forward in this truck, and then I look up to my left. So I'm the little dude here in the middle, okay? Little kid. I'm a little kid in this vision. And I look up to my left, and I realize that Jesus is driving the truck. He's the one in charge of where it's going. And so I kind of feel a little relief there, and we're going into this white, hopeful horizon. I don't know where I'm going. And so I turn up to him, and I ask, where are we going? And you guys can see it as I wrote it on there. It's in text lingo, which is kind of weird. I don't know why, but that's how I asked Jesus in this vision that I had. Where are we going? And so he just kind of half looked at me and smirked, half smile, and put his arm around my shoulder and just kept driving. And I remember feeling in that moment so overwhelmed with peace because I didn't need to know totally where I was going. All I knew was that I'd seen the invisible one. I'd seen Jesus and I'd experienced his love for me and that he was going to lead me. Guys, I pray that you guys can experience something like this, but what it takes is like all out effort to say like, God, I need you. I've got nothing. You know, every time I have this faith step, I chicken whip all over the place and I can't actually do it. So I need you to help me through. Help me see you so I can be a man of faith, so I can be a woman of faith in this life that you're calling me to be. I need to see you. It takes that much, guys. It takes everything you got. Overcoming step number two is take a risk, okay? Truth is, you cannot play it safe and please God. I wish you could, but you can't. And how do I know that? Hebrews 11:6, okay? Same chapter, verse 6 says this, without faith, it is impossible to please God because anyone who comes to him must believe that he exists and that he rewards those who earnestly seek him. Or in other words, in Mark's words, when you chicken whip, it's impossible to please God. You know, isn't that crazy? And I'm like, so I read that verse and I start asking the Lord, I'm like, how in the world can I not please you if I don't have faith? Because you say you love me so much and you're kind of always, you know, for me. And I started to make sense to me because if I don't have faith, that means I actually don't really believe in him. I don't believe he can do something amazing. I don't believe in him enough to even give my life to him. That pleases him when I trust him. If I don't do that, I just lean on myself and I start thinking about my own insecurities and my own reputation and my own limitations. That becomes my obsession if I try to do it myself without having faith. So now it makes sense, you know, how without faith it's impossible to please God. And you know, the take a risk part, I don't think we can really experience God unless we like abandon that part of ourselves and say like, God, I need you to come through here for me. I'm going to try something that only will work if you do something awesome. And it's not going to be about me. That's the type of risk I'm talking to you guys about. Okay, so remember, we've got two obstacles to living a life of faith, guarantees and what ifs. We've got two overcoming steps, seeing the invisible one, seeing God, and taking a risk. I'm going to illustrate it for you guys here a little bit. Okay, so you're kind of here in your life. So this is going to be kind of like a timeline thing. I don't know if you guys have ever seen a timeline, but I'm going to walk you guys through a little timeline here, okay? So this is, let's say, middle school years. All right, so you can do a couple things. You can not take any faith risks right now, even if they're small, big, whatever, if it's just talking to someone, if it's just saying hi, if it's just being on the welcome team, if it's just leading some worship, I don't know. It can be huge or small. But if you don't take some of those risks, you're going to kind of maybe be here. You're not going to be growing at all. And what if maybe you take one risk, you pray for someone, and they're not healed? And then you're like, fine, I give up, right? And you kind of start chickening out a little bit. And it starts going down. And as the years go on, you don't really have the guts inside of you to actually take a risk, to actually live this faith-filled life that we're called to. So you kind of keep going down a little bit. And then let's say you hit here and you're 40 years old. Let's say you hit 40 here. Your faith may even be lower. It may even be lower. You know, I mean, this is like chicken whipping right here. You know what I mean? And, or you guys can start now. And what's so cool about faith is faith builds, okay? So your next faith step builds on your last faith step because you know God came through and God was amazing and God loved you before, so he's going to do it again. And you can kind of keep going up a little bit. So let's say, you know, you kind of start here. You take a faith risk and you pray. You pray to God. You feel more connected to him. He showed himself to you. You start going up. Now you have a little bit more leverage to go up off of. Then you go a little bit more. You take another faith risk. You invite someone to MidPoint. You invite someone to church. Maybe this is a friend. Maybe it's a great friend that you know needs to know Jesus. Or maybe it's your mom or your dad or your brother who doesn't know Christ, but you do. You take this huge risk. Let's say they come to church. You start gaining a little bit more faith. Then you go, and let's say, you get really far in your faith journey, and you take a risk to love. You take a risk to go to those kids, those students that are kind of loners at your school. You try it out. Say, hey, I'm going to try to love them no matter what anyone says about me. Because you have so much faith. And then, when you're 40, you have such a high, basement of your faith level that if, God all of a sudden calls you to, quit your job and do ministry or something, go on a mission trip, maybe that's even 15 for some of you guys. And God's calling you to something big. But if your faith is high enough, it can lean on the past. You're like, okay, let's go. Let's go, God. I trust you. I trust you. You're going to come through for me because you called me to do this. So I really want to encourage you guys. You guys can start that right now. So today you are going to have a challenge of taking one faith risk. And I cannot wait to hear what some of those things are. And you also have to remember, guys, you are called to faith. You can't say, oh, that's just for some people. That's not for me. You are called to faith. That's what it means to follow God. That's what it means to follow God. Remember what we just read. Without faith, it's impossible to please God. Remember that. So one of your guys' peers, sixth grader. We've got a big invite culture here at MidPoint. We create events for you guys to invite friends, come to know Jesus. We try to do that all the time. We try to make this a welcoming place for all sorts of people. We train our small group leaders to be inviting and welcoming all the time. So one of your friends, one of your students, sixth grader, he starts inviting his friend to our events. His first friend says no. He tries again. Second friend says no. He says, I'm not going to quit. I'm going to keep trying. Third friend says no. Fourth friend says no. Fifth friend says no. Do you guys see the pattern here? There's some failure involved sometimes. Sixth friend says no. Oh my gosh. Seventh friend says, Jump Street sounds really fun. I'll come with you. Comes to Jump Street. Loves it. Our buddy invites his friend over for a sleepover. I've had fun. Let's go. Let's have a sleepover. Great. Our buddy invites him to MidPoint the next morning, Sunday morning. Yeah, this has been fun. I'll go with you to church. Comes to MidPoint. Loves it. Gets connected with Welcome Team. Gets the baggie. Just loves MidPoint. Starts coming back every single week. This is back in March. He comes to Winter Peak on a scholarship. Guys, remember, this was the seventh friend invited. He comes to Winter Peak on a scholarship and gives his life to Jesus for the first time. Yeah. Sometimes you have to fail to see, do you have enough faith to keep pressing on? Sometimes that's how it is. And guys, you guys can do it. You guys can take really big or small or whatever faith risks for God because he loves you. He's there with you. He's there for you. He is there fighting for you. And beautiful things can come from these risks. Beautiful, beautiful things. And I think back to those jumps that I was trying with my snowboard. And, I failed. I was miserable. But if you do it right, it can be absolutely epic. If you take faith steps right and trusting in the Lord with everything in your being, it can be absolutely epic, just like you're going to see in this video.
Hey, what's up? This is Bob Brown. We're at X Games Big Air. Check it out.
guys, I swear to you, that's what it feels like when you go for it with everything that you have, and you completely lay aside yourself and you say, God, I'm going to trust you here. And when he comes through for you, it feels that amazing. Way more amazing than that. Because, I mean, humans can do that. I'm talking about things that only God can do. It's amazing. You guys' lives are going to change, and you're going to change lots of other people's lives too if you start this faith journey now. Maybe you already have. Keep building on it. Keep building on it. I challenge you guys to step into faith without a guarantee. You don't need a guarantee. I challenge you to step into faith by switching your what ifs from something that's fear-based to something that's hope-based. I challenge you to step into faith by seeking to see the invisible one. Say, God, I need you. God, I need you so bad because I want to be in this faith journey with you. Show up for me. And finally, I challenge you to step into faith by taking that risk. Whatever that risk is, guys, there's something going on inside of you. I know it. I know it because you're called to faith just like I am. I know you are. That's who our God is. He's called each one of you to this. So what's something inside of you that you know is good, but it scares the living daylights out of you? What is that? Think about that. What's something that's maybe been burning inside of you, like in your gut, and is just there, and you know you have to do something about it? Maybe it's been there for a long time. Maybe it just came to you in the last minute. Maybe it's going to come to you while we're singing this next song called Miracles. And I'm going to pray that over you guys today, that you will know what that one step of faith is, what that one faith risk is today, and that you'll know it in this next song as we worship and sing Miracles. And I'm going to pray that you guys won't chicken whip and stop it, but you'll go through and follow through in this faith journey. Let me pray for you guys. Lord Jesus, all these students here, and myself, Lord, I'm in it too. Right now, I'm in it. Be with us, God. Help us to see you. Help us to see you. We're going to take a risk here. And we need you. We need you to come through. Lord Jesus, you've called us to this journey. You have called us so strongly. And I pray that in these next few moments, Lord Jesus, you will touch the hearts of these students through your Holy Spirit, and you will give them something very clear that they are supposed to do in order to take that faith risk for you. In your name, Jesus.